Hi everyone. In this presentation, we are going to talk about the business model, competitive strategies of IKEA in India. This is a combined group project by myself, Rex Parmar, Kerri, Joyce, and Riddhi Patel. In this presentation, we are going to talk about some of the important aspects of this case, starting with a brief introduction, background of this case, the mission, vision, and the key goals of IKEA. We're going to talk about the external environmental analysis, also known as a PESELS analysis. Also, we're going to talk about the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat analysis, known as a SWOT analysis. We're going to talk about the Porter's 5 forces analysis, the key resources, capabilities, and competencies of IKEA. We're going to talk about the key strategies, recommendations, and also about the conclusion. Now let's begin with the brief introduction of this case. As we all know that IKEA was founded in Sweden in 1943 by the 17-year-old Ingvar Kamprad, and it was a privately held company in the beginning. IKEA was famous for their designs and ready-to-sold furniture, home appliances, and accessories. By 2000, IKEA became one of the largest furniture retailers in the world. There are around 12,000 products presented on the company's website, and company was also known for its low prices, which was able to achieve by focusing on a cost control, operational details, and continuous product development. By the year 2012, IKEA had its operations in 44 countries, including the 30 service trading offices in 25 countries and 33 distribution centers. Company earned a revenue of 10.4 billion euros in financial year 2001, and from there on it grew and increased to 27.6 billion euros by the end of 2012. By August 31st, 2012, company had a presence in 44 countries already. Globally, their sales increased, and by year 2020, they are planning to double their sales and planning to open 20 to 25 stores in a year. IKEA's furniture is well known for its modern architecture and eco-friendly designs. Instead of selling products which are pre-assembled, IKEA selling the products which can be easily assembled at low cost and quality furniture with a wide range of options that suits everyone's needs. IKEA got permission of entry in India to open up retail stores after hitting many roadblocks by FDI and other governmental agencies in India. Now let's briefly talk about the background of this case. IKEA structures include both not-for-profit and for-profit organizations. So it's a combine of for-profit and not-profit organizations. It has two components, operations and franchising. Inca Holding BV is a private for-profit Dutch company that controls IKEA's operations. The franchising part was owned by a separate Dutch company called IKEA Inter-IKEA Systems. The concept of flat box came from one of the workers when he disassembled a table to fit into the car for transportation. In 1943, the product range included the items such as pens, wallets, picture frames, jewelries at a reduced price. The furniture made by the local manufacturer was introduced in 1948. A restaurant was added to the store in 1960s. The global expansion of IKEA rapidly grew in 1970s and 1980s. Their products are designed in Sweden but largely manufactured in the developing countries such as India, China, and other Asian countries. IKEA was sourcing products from India since 1980s, but looking at an increased foreign import of furniture and its high demand in India, change in FDI restrictions allowed IKEA to enter into the Indian market after a long waiting period. This presentation mainly talks about IKEA's business model and its competitive strategies in India. Now let's start and talk about the mission, vision, and the key goals of IKEA. The mission statement for IKEA can be described as to provide a wide range of ready-to-assemble, affordable, low-price, good quality, and a wide range of design furniture all over the world. IKEA's vision statement is to provide furniture and appliances for everyday use at most affordable rate possible and efficient way to make life easier for everyone. IKEA's key goal is it has a total of 298 stores in 26 countries, and they employed approximately around 139,000 people by year August 31st, 2012. Globally, they have doubled their sales to 27.6 billion euros in past decade. Their key goal is to double their sales again by 2020 and open 20 to 25 stores a year from year 2015 onwards. Their goals are to reduce their shipping and packaging costs by providing furniture which can be easily assembled at home by buyers, and by doing that they are able to keep their selling price lower. They are focusing mainly on continuous product development, operational details, and cost control. Now let's talk about the external environmental analysis, also called as a PESTELS analysis. There are several factors that contribute to the external environmental analysis. First of all, we're going to talk about the demographic factor. The low-cost furniture of IKEA attracts mainly the urban middle class living in a small apartments. IKEA sells its products in a flat packs. There is no assembly cost and no shipment cost. Most of their products are sold on catalogs, which help them to reduce the operational cost and lower their prices. This low prices furniture attracts mainly the college students, the young consumers, and the consumers who are tight on their budget and doesn't want to spend more money on furniture assembly and shipments. It mainly attracts the urban middle class living in a small size apartment. They would like to buy their furniture that is elegant as well as that will cater to their apartment size and their budget requirements. IKEA is the best option for those individuals as it provides huge range of furniture according to their lifestyle. Now, let's just talk about the second factor. The second factor is a political and legal factor. India has been known for its strict FDI regulations and complicated government approval process for any foreign company to invest in India. After opening a regional procurement office in Gurgaon by IKEA, they have to wait for 6 long years to obtain approval from the Indian government and to pass through the FDI regulations. IKEA has to negotiate with its global store model to fit with an Indian consumer preferences. It was difficult to compete and enter into the India for IKEA. But because India's strict foreign direct investment regulations, it was very difficult for IKEA to enter into the Indian market. But finally they made it in 2012 and they got the permission to enter into the Indian market. Now let's talk about the third most important external environmental factor, and that is the economic factor. The world's economy, as we all know, has been developing at a faster rate since 2000, and there has been a steady improvement in the economy has been observed all these years throughout. The income rate has been rising and the consumer disposable income has contributed to the growth of industries such as furniture industry. With an increasing in the economy, the furniture industry has seen an increasing new market opening up mostly in the developing countries like India and China. European regions accounted for about half of the world's furniture production, approximately 82 billion euros. This is one of the positive signs for companies like IKEA. Now let's talk about the fourth factor, which is a social cultural factor. We have been seeing a change in the lifestyle globally. Every year there is a new and unique designs which is coming up in the market. And there is an obvious change in the lifestyle of the people. Consumer likes to buy a designer and a stylish furniture for their home. India has been long famous for its art and cultural heritage. Furniture here is usually luxurious in design and elegant, but over the period of years, as more international furniture retailers entering into the Indian market, the consumer preferences in India has been changed, especially people in the metropolitan areas, urban middle class living families. They prefer a compact and elegant furniture for their apartments. Now let's talk about the fifth factor, which is a technological factor. Increase in the technological advancement in the developing countries like India, widespread the use of internet and cell phones has been increasing. Online retailers and online shopping is also increasing every day because of the availability of the smartphones with almost everyone. The positive sign for furniture company like IKEA for their expansion, product innovation, brand awareness about their ready to assemble flat box furniture items. We are also seeing the product innovation in the furniture design because of the use of new technology in manufacturing, and also they use this technology for product distribution more efficiently and in a timely manner possible. This is one of the positive indicator for the furniture companies like IKEA. Now, sixth most important factor, the external environmental factor, is a global change. There is a global change in the furniture industries. Over the period of time, the global furniture industry has been changed and has been evolved. People not just restricted to buy chairs, beds, and tables. Instead, they prefer wide range of furniture along with the interior designing that makes their home unique and elegant look. Global furniture market is growing because of the change in the living standards and high economic rates. Asia is considered as a center for long-term growth for furniture industry because of the developing nations such as China, India, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, and Philippines. So global change in the furniture industry is also to be considered as a positive factor for the furniture companies like IKEA. The seventh and the last external environmental factor that we are going to talk about is sustainable physical environment. Nowadays, most of the companies focus on preservation of the environment. They have tried to become socially responsible. IKEA over the years has been involved in various charity and social activities. The Inca Foundation is involved in the victims of tsunami, cyclone, school donations, restoring forests, and population reduction. IKEA has eliminated PVC from its products. They have limited the use of lead, cadmium, formaldehyde, and azopigments, which are harmful to the environment. They are responsibly using the woods for their furniture, and they are focusing on installing solar panels to every store. In that way, they are trying to preserve the environment, which is also they are focusing on a sustainable physical environment all over the world.
Hi, my name is Riddhi Patel. So, besides the pastel analysis, the furniture industry in India can be further examined using a SWOT analysis. This stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's a useful technique to better understand these areas of the industry in order to carve a sustainable position in the market. One strength of India's furniture industry is the changing consumer preferences, which has led to an increase in furniture retailing. There used to be a time when Indians preferred traditional handicrafts and artistic woodwork, and most homes would have this. But no longer is this the case. They would rather purchase furniture to suit their stylish homes and small apartments. This has led to a rise in international brands entering the Indian furniture market, which makes it a strength for them. On the other hand, one major weakness that IKEA will face in the Indian furniture market is the prevailing consumer behavior. While there is an increasing interest in modern and minimalist designs when it comes to furniture, they're not accustomed to having to assemble their own furniture pieces. They would usually have someone either from the shop or someplace else come and take care of it. So, the Indian population may not be entirely accepting of IKEA's do it yourself concept and may still prefer the ready made and custom made furniture they're used to. Furthermore, the Indians are used to having store employees guide them throughout their shopping experience, almost like a personal shopper, and the lack of staff at IKEA may come as a surprise to them. Even though IKEA has come across this major weakness in the Indian furniture industry, it still does have two opportunities for it to achieve strategic competitiveness. In 2010, the furniture market in India was estimated at around 700 billion rupees, but only 10 to 15% of the market came from the organized sector. IKEA would be IKEA would be able to make a name for itself among the Indian population since it's a saturated market with only a few firms. Also, the great number of cost-conscious consumers in India would definitely be an opportunity for IKEA. If marketed properly, the firm would be able to attract potential customers with their low-price furniture and products. One possible threat that IKEA may face are the laws that are constantly changing. While the FDI reform worked in IKEA's favor earlier, this may not always be the case. It's possible that certain laws may be set in place that hinder the firm's future success, so the laws in India will continue to be a threat. The industry can be further analyzed using the five forces of competition model. The five forces include threat of new entrants, rivalry among competing firms, threat of substitute products, bargaining power of buyers, and bargaining power of suppliers. Porter's five forces is a tool for understanding the competitiveness of the business environment and identifying a firm's potential profitability from its strategy. The threat of new entrants entering into the Indian furniture market is relatively low due to economies of scale, capital requirements, and government policies. New brands will be small when they're first entering the industry, and it'll take a lot of time and effort before they're able to gain a large portion of the market. Also, the capital requirements, such as physical facilities and availability of capital, are quite restraining for new entrants. The Indian government policies are strict, especially for foreign companies. The level of rivalry among competing firms is moderately low for IKEA since only a small percentage of the entire furniture market comes from the organized sector. It's possible that the level will be higher over time since the popularity of this type of furniture is growing among the population. However, the threat of substitute products is very high. Substitutes include those small regional firms and individual artisans that accounted for a majority of the Indian furniture market, especially since switching costs are close to none and the quality of the products is subjective. This is a large threat that IKEA will face in India. The bargaining power of buyers is low since each individual buyer is insignificant since they're small and there are many in number. Also, although their switching costs are low, they purchase only a small portion of the industry's total output. Similarly, the bargaining power of suppliers is also low because IKEA's large size would be greatly missed if it were to move its business to another supplier. Also, the set code of conduct that IKEA has for its suppliers allows it to have an upper hand since it could easily remove the supplier if they do not comply. A firm's resources, either tangible or intangible, are its assets that represent inputs into the production process and are the source of the firm's capabilities. Over time, capabilities develop through the purposeful interactions between resources to achieve a desired end state. Strategic capabilities must be valuable, rare, costly to imitate, and non substitutable in order to be sustainable. After learning how to implement the different resources and capabilities, the firm's core competencies emerge as they provide the sources of its competitive advantage. Some of IKEA's resources include the material that's used in the products, the warehouse and store combination, and its capacity to innovate. India has served as a sourcing destination for IKEA since the 1980s, and then it was set up as a raw material trading division to ensure better cost management. Now that IKEA will be opening up stores in the country, they'll be able to use the same raw materials that were sent abroad to the other locations. And the layout of IKEA stores required customers to go through the entire store before proceeding to the self serve warehouse to collect the required products and make a payment. So, the joint layout of the store and warehouse was another resource. Also, its capacity to innovate new products is an intangible resource. IKEA's capabilities uh, are in the manufacturing functional area. Their design and production skills are able to yield reliable components and products. The popular flat pack packaging came about due to the innovative thinking of developers and designers. Another capability are the supply chain management skills. The suppliers, manufacturers, and retailers that are part of IKEA's network contribute to its competency. And one core competency is its low cost business model. The integration of IKEA's supply chain and manufacturing capabilities has allowed the firm to generate low costs, leading to low prices for its customers. This has given the company a competitive advantage over its competitors, which will continue to happen in India as well.
Key strategies. When IKEA received clearance from the Indian government to open stores in 2013, IKEA's strategy was centered around growth within the country, including doubling product and material sourcing from suppliers within India. In order to begin to achieve this growth, building relationships with new suppliers and continuing to grow and support existing relationships with existing suppliers were the key focus points for IKEA. The company's newly appointed country manager, Juvencio Maistu, noted the importance of acknowledging the differences in India's markets compared to other markets and making changes to IKEA's model to meet the design and pricing needs of the Indian markets. Prior to 2013, IKEA had already been sourcing much of its textiles and carpets from within the country. Strategically, IKEA planned to source even more items from suppliers within India, including plastics, steel, lighting, and natural fiber products. Focusing on opening stores on the outskirts of the metropolitan cities within the country was a key strategy for IKEA as well, noting the growth of the middle class and the need for affordable furniture and home furnishings in these areas within India. However, IKEA needed to take into consideration the differences in Indian culture and transportation. Many citizens did not have access to vehicles large enough to transport their furniture home, and many others did not have their own vehicles at all. Road infrastructure was also not as reliable as it was in other countries that IKEA operates in. Update on the case. On August 9, 2018, the first IKEA store in Hyderabad, India, officially opened. The opening was quite chaotic, bringing traffic in the area to a halt and causing long lines at the store for entry. The opening of the store highlighted some of the key strategy changes that IKEA made in order to cater to the Indian markets and consumers. During the 2013 negotiations between IKEA and the Indian government, originally the company was told they could not sell food in their stores. But the outcome of the negotiations allowed for IKEA to open their signature cafes within the stores in India, with a mixed menu consisting of local cuisines and traditional Swedish delicacies adapted to Indian standards. For example, substituting the traditional beef meatballs with chicken and vegetables to cater to the Hindu diet. IKEA has lower prices within India to adapt to the needs of the typical consumer there. Wages are still low, and real estate prices are very high, forcing the growing middle class to settle into smaller apartments. This is an area of potential for IKEA, and the reason that the strategy of offering low prices in store is a key issue for the company. According to Reuters, 1,000 items will be priced at less than 200 rupees, which is $2.91 US. Another issue that plagued IKEA before opening stores in India was the potential of the Indian consumer to shun the do-it-yourself nature of IKEA products. Indians were not used to assembling their own furniture, so the company has built an in-store assembly team of around 150 associates to assist customers with product assembly. IKEA has made many adjustments to their global strategy in order to cater to the Indian market, more so than probably any other foreign market they have expanded into. Growing the company within India is a constant reevaluation of strategy and tweaking to cater to the typical Indian consumer. IKEA has 2 stores set to open in 2019 and 2020, Mumbai and Bangalore respectively. In order to continue opening stores and growing within India, IKEA has been working towards a strategy of a more city-centric showroom to cater to the growing urban middle-class population. Like the mixed menu items in the cafe, IKEA plans to bring a mix of India-specific items to the country, such as masala boxes, colorful sheets, and coconut fiber center mattresses to entice the Indian consumer, but to also supplement the traditional Swedish designs that are standard in all IKEA stores. Another strategic growth area for IKEA will be in e-commerce. They began working on the infrastructure with the hopes of launching online shopping in 2019. IKEA's distribution centers within India are growing as well. In the city of Pune, one distribution center employs 170 people, and this number will jump to over 400 employees once operations in IKEA's e-commerce commence within the country. In order for IKEA to continue to grow within India, it is essential they grow their operations and expand their warehouses within the country. Warehouses will become even more essential if the e-commerce industry takes off. Hiring women has also become a focus of IKEA in India. They are committed to hiring a workforce consisting of 50% women. Out of the 150 employees in the Hyderabad on the assembly team, 75 are female. Our recommendations going forward. The most viable strategies that IKEA should pursue going forward revolve around convenience and accessibility for the Indian consumer. As discussed earlier, the assemble your own furniture concept was not one typically enjoyed by the Indian consumer. In order for IKEA to succeed in the country, they needed to address this issue. Assembly and delivery of products to the consumer should be a priority. IKEA already offers in-store employees ready to assist with the assembly of their new purchases. However, IKEA must consider transportation issues. Does the typical consumer have a way to transport their newly purchased and assembled IKEA item home? The company has already teamed up with a mobile and website-based service provider called UrbanClap, where customers can make reservations for in-home assembly of IKEA-approved and trained product assemblers. Unfortunately, these services only apply to select IKEA products, but this leaves IKEA opportunity for expansion in this area. IKEA has established time and time again that expansion into India is a long-term focus, not a short-term one. The company is strategically and methodically scouting locations for the future IKEA stores and plans on opening 24 more stores across India by the year 2025. In order for the company to achieve growth across the entire country, IKEA will need to focus on building stores in locations that will succeed, not simply to open all 25 projected locations. Real estate is expensive in India, and every IKEA store requires a large amount of resources, including financial investments, from the company of at least $145 million per store. Considering the amount of time and finances involved in the opening of one IKEA store, the company needs to be very careful when choosing locations. If they cannot open the 24 stores in the next 6 years, they need to accept that and focus their resources in finding better locations, improving on existing locations, or investing in more infrastructure for the e-commerce industry. In 2017, e-commerce revenue in India totaled approximately $39 billion and forecasts are estimating these totals to reach $120 billion by the year 2020. It is essential for IKEA to make expansion into the e-commerce business a strategy and a priority in order to continue to achieve growth of Indian market share. E-commerce within the country will allow IKEA to reach customers in areas further away from the IKEA locations than are possible to access. Whether it be to Indian consumers lacking accessibility to transportation or simply physically living too far from a brick-and-mortar location, e-commerce can bring IKEA products to these consumers. Investing in this infrastructure should be a focus point for the company. Conclusion. India boasts a population of about 1.3 billion people, which makes it the country with the second highest population in the world, with an approximate growth in GDP from 2018 to 2019 of about 8.2%. There is much growth opportunity for the middle-class consumer within this country and IKEA. The company's website describes their over 30-year presence in the country, including partnerships with 48 suppliers, engaging 45,000 and more direct co-workers, and approximately 400,000 co-workers in the extended supply chain. IKEA's goals are to continue to expand operations in India and to double their sourcing within the country, sourcing that currently equals approximately $352 million per year. The CEO of IKEA, Jesper Broden, is quoted as saying, "The commitment that we make is short-term, not long-term." Thank you very much for listening to our presentation.